A moment of silence.
We are, yeah.
We're live again. Oh, man. We're live again, guys. Episode 98 of the HAMMERFIST podcast. I'm Tom Owens. This is Archie Tovar. We welcome our guest, Joy Ann Killjoy Pendell. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Guys, you know me and Archie, we're here just running the podcast since the pandemic. We've been doing it through the computer screen and the camera. And man, it's been a trip. This is the 29th virtual podcast. I'm kind of getting used to it. It's kind of cool because we're getting guests on now from all over the place. Like if they can't come to the studio or we can't go to them, like we're able to get Joy on here. You know what I mean? Within a few days' notice, we were able to get Joy. And it's awesome. And later on today, guys, we have Karina Herrera. She'll be joining us too. So 2 badass women MMA fighters. And one of my favorite things and Archie's favorite thing in life is jiu-jitsu and grappling. And we got the right person here. We haven't had that many women guests, right, Archie?
Right. They've not exclusively. I mean, women have come in with their partners, either their husband, boyfriend, whatnot, right? But no, we're doing some exclusive we have to, right? I mean, this sport is for everyone, and women there's a lot of killjoys out there. They want to spoil people's. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh no, it's my niece was actually hitting me up. She was like, "Oh man, you need more," because I trained some jiu-jitsu with my younger niece, and they tune into the show, you know what I mean? And she was hitting me up about the women. You know, we need more women on the show. But anyhow, Joy, we'll get into the MMA. But I've also seen you compete on quite a few different grappling stages. You've obviously been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. And I think the first place I saw you in a straight grappling match was in a fight to win competition. But I know that's way further down into your grappling competitions. How old are you right now, and how many years have you been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I'm 30. I will be turning 31 in November. And I started jiu-jitsu exactly 6 years ago. So I was looking for just a workout, some way to stay in shape. And I didn't want to go to the gym because that's boring. And I'd heard about this blonde girl running around breaking everyone's arms. And I looked at some videos of her and I was like, oh, whoa, I could do that. And I just Googled MMA gyms in Sacramento. And Urijah Faber's popped up first thing. So I just went in, signed up for a class. I loved it. I met Dustin, who is my instructor, and I'm still under him. I'm a brown belt under him now. And I met who is now my best friend, Liz, and she's a black belt now. But at the time, she was a white belt. And she wasn't sure she was going to stay at the gym or not because there was no other women to train with. But when I walked in that first day, it was kind of all meant to be because Liz and I are the exact same size, we're the same height and weight, and she was, still white belt at the time. So we just immediately hit it off. I signed up for a year and just never looked back. I got totally addicted to it. And then about 6 months into my jiu-jitsu training, Liz is actually the one who talked me into, Joy, let's do a tournament. You can do it. And she'd actually already done a couple. So I got talked into doing the UGF tournament. It was a little local tournament it was at Consumnes River College, and I won. And then I just started competing after that. And I actually won the world championships as a white belt down in Long Beach, and that was in 2015. And then since then I do I'll do lots of IBJJF tournaments. I'll do just Naga tournaments. And then as a purple belt, I started doing Fight to Win. And so now I'm 6-2, I think, on Fight to Win.
Wow,
and,
cool. Wow, you have 8 fights and Fight to Win already. Wow. I didn't know you had that many.
Yeah.
You look very comfortable out there. And you look like you're having a good time, too, when you're competing.
I am. I love to compete. It's my favorite thing.
Now, you don't just compete. I know you compete gi-less and gi. What do you prefer?
I'm not sure. I like both.
You like them both the same?
Yeah. Every time I sign up for a show, I just say gi or no gi, just no preference. Whatever Seth wants.
Doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
What about like leg locks? Because I know with Dustin and all those boys in Sacramento right there, they were kind of into the leg lock game before a lot of different schools were, before it got, how leg locks got real popular like the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
leg lock game has completely changed in the last 5 years, I think.
Yes.
Dude, Dustin is a badass. Am I correct? Is he under Cassio Werneck?
Yes, Cassio Werneck. He's a Cassio black belt.
Okay, because Cassio, I remember when Cassio, when there wasn't that many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts in California, Cassio was one of the first ones, and he was right there with Urijah Faber and all those boys when they were fighting in Lemoore. So Cassio, is he still there?
Yeah, and I've never actually been over to Cassio's gym, and I've always meant to, and he's told me I'm welcome, and I will go in there sometime. But yeah, I love being just part of the Cassio lineage. It's there's so many Sacramento black belts that are under Cassio. I believe, let's see, I believe Terry Maxwell is under Cassio. I know for sure Yamaso is. Who else? There's several.
A lot of those guys. A lot of those guys out of that Ultimate Fitness gym.
Jamie Hara is a Cassio black belt. Yep. So it's very cool to be part of that lineage.
That's awesome. And now, man, in the World Championships, your first time around as a white belt. Now, a lot of people they hear white if they haven't competed on here, and it's a white belt. White belt competition, I think, is some of the toughest competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
White belt through purple belt, they are definitely tough. You got people that have been doing it for a long time that are still wearing a white belt. How many tournaments had you done before you went in and won that first World Championship?
I had done, let's see, that was my third tournament, and I'd been training 11 months at the time.
11 months. So yeah, that's a short amount of time I trained a lot longer than that before my first tournament. Yeah. Competition is, man, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and I think it might have been a Brendan Schwab, Fighter and the Kid. You ever listen to that one, Archie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, he was talking about competition, and man, he was so right about competition. When you get into either a steel cage versus another person, whether it's male or female, or you get onto the mat, especially on a stage like this right here, like that's Fight to Win, I believe.
Yes.
That picture. You're in front of a whole crowd. It's just you and another person right there, and you're in front of this whole crowd. The anxiety level and the adrenaline levels, and those are all different with everybody, but there's nothing like that. There's really is nothing else like that. A competition in any sport will give you that, but there's something about like a martial arts tournament, though. Don't you believe? When you get out there and it's just you and this other person in front of that crowd.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is, before I started doing martial arts, I've never been in a fight. I mean, I get along with people. I've just never been in any kind of physical confrontation with anyone. So
had you ever been in a street fight at all? Ever?
No, never. Not even close. I'm very even-tempered. But anyhow, so going to my very first jiu-jitsu tournament as a white belt with 6 months of training, I mean, I couldn't sleep the night before. I was nervous for probably the whole month because I signed up about a month out, and just for weeks, like panicking, just like, how did Liz talk me into this? Why am I?
Oh man, I was the same way.
Terrified.
I would compete. Now I'm still the same way. I still do that.
And then that day, I just told myself, I'm like, the only thing that I can control is just me stepping on that mat and sticking to my game plan. That's the only thing I can do. I can't control whether this girl is better than me. Maybe I'm going to win. Maybe I'm going to lose. But I can be brave. I can step onto that mat, and I can do what I've been trained to do and just stick to the plan. And I did that, and I won. And that's what really matters, is challenging yourself. I mean, this whole sport is about your own growth and self-discovery, and just learning what you're capable of.
Right. So awesome. Hey, Jeffrey, man, thanks for tuning in, brother. We appreciate it. Jeffrey Fuller. Hey, we have guys pop in with a little something here and there, Joy. Anyhow, Jeffrey Fuller's got a podcast going, guys, a new podcast going. He's a friend of mine I just met him through Facebook, and I've been just following Jeffrey and following each other. You guys want to get into another awesome podcast? Tune in with Jeffrey Fuller. You can find him on Facebook. Now, Joy, besides the jiu-jitsu, you've also delved into MMA. How long of the train? Now, that's a whole nother level of competition. It's a whole nother thing, man. When you know somebody's going to can punch you or kick you in the face or knee you in the face and do all these different things. And you're going to be inside of a steel cage in front of your friends, your family, and all these other people. That's a whole nother level of anxiety. How much grappling and jiu-jitsu competition did you have before you took that step and jumped into the cage?
I had a lot of jiu-jitsu experience. I had already won I had my fight, and then like 2 weekends after my fight, I actually won the no gi world championships as a purple belt. So I wasn't quite the purple belt world champion yet, but I was about to be. And I had already had several fight to wins and lots of jiu-jitsu experience, but I really did not have adequate striking training at all. I had no idea what I was doing when I started jumping into MMA.
How much did you actually have in that first fight? Like, how many months did you have of boxing or kickboxing?
I was really sporadic in my boxing and kickboxing training. I had done it off and on for about 4 years, but I'd never been able to really commit to it the way I had with jiu-jitsu, just because the way my schedule is, because I do work so far away from Sacramento. I'm not in Sacramento every day to train. The time frames for the classes just weren't fitting with my schedule at Ultimate Fitness. So I was working just one-on-one with a few people, but it was not enough. And when I took my first fight, I mean, I got just solidly beaten right there in Sacramento. All my friends were there. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna kill this girl." And she was, I think, already 3-0, 2-0 or 3-0. And she's a.
This is the first amateur fight?
That was my first amateur fight. She's a pro wrestler, really accomplished, is Jeslyn Michelle. And I didn't get hurt. I mean, I defended myself competently, but I mean, I just lost. And after that, that's when I was like, okay, do I want to do this or do I not? And I do. I want to do it. I'm not doing it to impress anybody. I'm not doing it to look cool. I'm doing it because I really want to do it. It's about self-improvement. It's about self-discovery. And I took another fight, and that one I lost too, although I really felt like I won that one, but whatever.
That fight could have went either way with Audrey Winters.
I mean, I thought I won, but whatever, it was too close.
That's how they go. That's how they go.
Yeah.
The cool thing though, man, one thing I could say about you is I've known a lot of guys that have jumped into it, like thinking they're going to win that first one or the second fight. And when they don't win those first couple fights, they go, that's it. That's enough for me.
So 0-2 was when I was like, okay, obviously. That's
when you have to really make some decisions right there.
Yeah, I'm like, obviously this is not working, but I still want to do it. So that's when I just really buckled down on my training. And in my third fight, I went in with just a different game plan. And I was like, I'm going to get this on the ground or I'm going to die trying. Like, I'm getting it down. And I did. And I TKO'd the girl on the ground. And right after that fight, I started training full time at Burrito MMA. And that's where I've been training for almost a year now, about 11 months. And we've really improved my boxing. My fight with Sierra went the same way. I took her down very quickly and TKO'd her on the ground. And then my fight with Carlene, she actually had really sharp striking. She's a very powerful opponent. And I really got to show off my striking in that fight. And, I did a pretty good job in the first round. It stayed on the feet, I believe, the whole time. And then in the second round, I took her down and TKO'd her there too. So yeah, it's been a good journey. I'm really grateful actually for those first two losses, just to know that I really want it. It's easy to want it if you're just winning, but how are you going to do when you lose? I mean, how's your ego going to take that? How's your pride going to take that? You have to put those things aside if you really want to be a martial artist.
Plus, I've seen it too when a guy wins the first, and this is what it was even in my case. I won the first two fights, and I think would have been better if I would have lost those first two fights because I would have trained definitely would have trained harder. Yeah. If you win the first couple fights, you already, in a way, you think you're already doing everything right. You know what I mean? Like I'm already training right. I'm doing the right thing that I need to be doing. Yeah. So, man, isn't it a blessing knowing that you have that jiu-jitsu in your back pocket when you need? Now, I mean, I'm sure you have ideas of your striking is at a certain level. but you can use that striking to get in to use that jiu-jitsu.
Yes. Every fight I have, my game plan is to get it to the ground and TKO her on the ground or submit her. But once it's on the ground, I know I'm going to win. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Hey, Joy, we've seen, like Tom has said, we've seen several of your fights, and this is a perfect time to ask my question. You know, we see your transition from your jiu-jitsu game to the MMA game so well. I mean, you go from a side mount to a full mount to ground and pound. Tom and I were talking earlier about your ground and pound prowess. You know, you're just so tough up there. You know,
once you get to the full mount, it's brutal.
Yeah, brutal. You have a few finishes. You know, your last 3 wins were great wins. Tell us how, you know, jiu-jitsu has helped you for MMA, with MMA, and you know, how comfortable are you there on the mat when you hit the mat?
I'm so comfortable on the mat. I mean, I just really feel like nobody's going to beat me on the ground, not at my level. Once I go pro and once I'm in the UFC someday, you know, fingers crossed, you know, then I'm going to be facing some real sharks on the ground, and I'm going to have to get my ground game even sharper. But as an amateur, there's no way any of these girls have anything on me on the ground. I know that. So if I can get my hands on them, I can clinch them up, I can take them down, or I can shoot a double leg. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get the fight on the ground, and I'm going to finish her.
Hey, Joy, are you training right now for the next perhaps amateur event, or did you say forget that amateur stuff because it may not happen right away? I'm going to try to pick up a fight with Bellator, LFA, or someone out there who's helping you, you know, guide you in your career to decide if you're going to go to pro, or what are you thinking about pro? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, no one's going to pressure me into going pro before I'm ready, because I don't want the same thing to happen to me at the pros that happened to me at the amateurs, where I kind of dived in too quickly and take some losses right off the bat. We are talking about brain damage when you're losing an MMA fight. So it's important to be prepared. And even if I do lose, there's a difference between losing by a little bit versus getting really smoked. And I just don't want that to happen. So I want to get a little smoother, a little sharper on my striking. I think 2 more fights would be really ideal, at least, before I go pro. And if I do really well in the next 2 fights, then I think I'll probably be ready. But I'm leaving that up to my coach, too. I really trust Brito and his opinions. So we'll just see. But I want to keep fighting, and I can't wait to go pro. I think there's going to be so many more opportunities for me at the pros, so many more girls to fight. So I'm itching, I'm ready. And I'm working on getting my boxing license right now too, just so if a boxing fight comes up, I can take that. I'll take kickboxing, smokers, any fight's better than no fight. So I'm just gonna get it in where I can.
Heck yeah, get it in where you can, that's for sure. Especially in this day and age right now that we're going through this whole freaking pandemic and stuff, and there's not really too much going on. You mentioned already it was a little bit more difficult to get into the Ultimate Fitness and train with Urijah and all the boys. I imagine that most of the big gyms right now, they're having a tough time with the training. But you did mention earlier to us about some garage training, and that to me and Archie is some of our favorite type of training. When you can get in a garage with mats and somebody that knows what they're doing, or a couple guys that know what they're doing, you get that one-on-one training. Talk about your coach right now in the garage training.
Yeah, so Brito's he's a veteran of the sport. He was there at the very beginning when Ultimate Fitness first started. He was there for a while. He was over at MMA Gold for a while. But he decided he just wanted to do his own thing. So he just has his garage all set up, and he just trains a handful of people, doesn't advertise. I actually knew somebody who was going over there, and I kind of talked my way into that situation because I really wanted to be a part of it. And he's just been great. And I have a lot of connections with people just through my gym hopping and going to different open mats and doing classes different places. So I have lots of great connections. I always have plenty of variety of sparring partners. The guys at the gym actually joke that it's Joy's little spar army that I bring along with me every weekend. I try to spar every Saturday, Sunday, just light sparring, real technical, no trying to give each other concussions. But yeah, I just bring in my own partners, and so it's just this tailor-made situation for me, and I'm very insistent about everything being a certain way because I'm trying to get better. I'm a little bit selfish with my training, but it works out when I'm bringing in guys that are similar to my levels and similar to my size, and then we all spar each other, and it helps everybody.
Well, the thing is, when you're getting ready for in this sport and you're getting ready for a professional fight, and you're going to be the one getting in front of that crowd and family and everything, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being selfish. And if they're your friend or your training partner or your coach, don't feel selfish about it. They're wanting the best for you. You know what I mean? If they're really there to help you, and they're going to be like in your corner, and I don't just mean in your corner of the fight, but they're backing you up when you go out there and you're competing. They're going to come in and help you in any of those ways. Like me and Archie, I mean, Archie helps these guys. He gets out there and puts his body on the line to a certain extent. But right, Archie, you're doing that to help these guys and to be in their corner and get them to the next level.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You know, as far as, you know, being able to train, you know, you're talking about training, Tom's talking about training, and we're all training right now. You know, I just kind of wanted to talk some more about that, Joy. You know, because of the pandemic, a lot of people haven't been trained, or they make excuses. You're not making any excuses. You're going out there, you're finding the training. Tell us a little bit, how have you slowed down any? And I'm thinking maybe just a bit, but have you been consistently training since, you know, March, since we've had this COVID thing hit us?
Have you switched it up?
Yeah, my last MMA fight was February 22nd, and I had actually hurt my ankle pretty bad the week before in sparring, and then having the fight, you know, that didn't help. So right when the pandemic hit, my ankle was bad enough that I felt like I really needed to take some time off. So it kind of worked out well. And of course, in March, none of us knew how this COVID thing was going to sort out. Nobody knew how deadly the virus was, how easily it was going to be transmitted. Everybody was really afraid, myself included. So all of March and half of April, I really didn't train at all. And it kind of just worked out nicely because the timing of the virus was also when my ankle was hurt. But as we got into the end of April and into May, then we got to know a little bit more how this virus is going to sort out. And as far as June, July, I think it's pretty clear that it's not as deadly as everybody thought it was going to be.
Right. I agree.
And I'm not being callous here, but it's really honestly not as big a deal as everybody was making it out to be. And
or they're still making it out to be right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just over it. I'm just
I am too. I'm so over it. Oh my gosh, dude. Every time, and at my work, I work at Costco on the side, and I work at 4 a.m. in the morning. The first thing that we have to do when we walk into the door is they give you a mask, and then they take your temperature, and it's just every single day. And a few people there have had it. I've known like 5 or 6 people now that have had it. None of them have said anything bad about it. None of them have said it's worse than the flu. So I know it is what it is. I know everybody out there, we're going to get through this pandemic here sooner or later. And man, I just can't wait for things to get back on the normal flow. I can't wait.
What we were told at the beginning was that we just needed to flatten the curve, that this virus was going to sweep through our population. But somewhere in the spring, the tune kind of was changed. It went from flattening the curve to, no, we need to stop the virus. And that's simply not going to happen. Now that that virus is in our population, that's just something that's going to be around now, just like a cold or anything else. It's
going to be around every year. I can see it coming every year, coming back every year.
I think the important part is to stay healthy, build your immune system, you know, exercise, take care of yourself, get sleep. And then when you do get it, you'll be able to fight it off.
Yeah.
Now
you know what, Joe?
Ahead,
I wanted to say that you're such an inspiration, you know, to myself, just because knowing that you're a full-time worker, you're always training, and then to the women out there, the little, you know, the young youth, you know, the up-and-coming girl fighters, you know, MMA, boxing, and whatnot. You know, how do you have? So tell us a little bit. Do you have a 40-hour-a-week job, and then you train, right? And how do you manage that?
Yes. So I am the manager of Pendell Apiaries. You can look us up, pendellapiaries.com. And we are commercial queen breeders, or commercial beekeepers. And I have a crew of about 15 employees. We actually run separate crews because we have different aspects of our work that we do. But I oversee the entire operation. And so I try to schedule things in such a way where I'm there at the beginning of the workday. I make sure everything is running smoothly. All the projects are lined out. Everything's going. And then I'll leave a little bit early and let the crews finish up depending on what they're doing. But if anything ever comes up, I am the boss and I'm the one that has to take care of it. Ultimately, everything in the business and everything on the ranch is my responsibility. So that's tough because a lot of times I'll make plans and then a truck breaks down or someone calls in sick or the project's just taking way longer than they thought it was going to take and they're not going to finish if I don't help and we have to finish it today. I just have to cancel sometimes on people. But I explain to everybody I'm not flaky and I'm really not. It's just work does come first. I mean, that's how I pay my bills. And it is the family business too. So it's a different sense of responsibility. It's not just a job to me. I mean, this is what I do. This is what we do. This is our whole livelihood. But you know,
do you guys make honey as well? Or are you, so that's part of the deal too?
Yep. I eat honey every day. Lots of honey.
Now that's what I wanted to, you know, while we got a few minutes left here, I want to talk about that a little bit because especially with this, with the sickness going on right now, with you've been doing this obviously your whole life, breeding the bees. Is there a difference now with the amount of bees that are out there than say like 5 years ago? Okay. So is the population of bees, is it going down?
Well, so our industry has been struggling the last several years, but this year, starting in March, I really noticed the bees are just doing fantastic. It's been a great year for them. And even the bumblebee population in our area has exploded. I've never seen so many bumblebees around. All sorts of native bees that I normally don't even notice. Their populations are doing great. And I kind of wonder if because factories are shut down and people aren't driving as much, there's less pollution in the air, perhaps.
Definitely.
Could be.
It could be kind of a silver lining to, you know, the economic disaster that's happening and the pandemic. At least it's helping the bees a little bit.
Everything that's happening is happening for a reason in some way or another.
Yeah.
Hey, how good is I love honey. Honey's a part of my everyday routine. Raw organic honey. Probably not as good as what you got, but talk about honey just a little bit. How important is honey for the immune system? Like, how good is honey for you?
Honey is great. It has so many different vitamins and minerals and enzymes, and it's the best to me. It's just the best natural medicine, natural immune booster. If you have a cut or a burn, you can put it right on your skin. It's a natural antiviral and antibacterial.
Oh, wow.
Just a natural antiseptic.
Did not know that.
I just take a big spoonful and stir it in my coffee every morning, put some cream in, and that's
that's the best. That's one of the best things ever. That's one of the best combinations in the world right there.
And it really helps
cream,
with allergies too.
honey, and coffee. That's one of my favorite things. Well, Joy, it's been a joy talking to you. Hey, one thing, Killjoy is your nickname.
Yes.
And I was looking that up. Guys, the noun Killjoy, it means a person who deliberately spoils the enjoyment of others. I love that right there. Hey, isn't that the truth though of MMA and jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
In a way, it kind of goes cool with it. I think it's a cool nickname. Hey, you want to get to the UFC, Joy? It's all right here. You're training with the right people. I would definitely keep that training with who you're training with in the garage, but I would also, if I was you, I mean, just my opinion, I would definitely keep going with that Ultimate Fitness with the boys in there and Dustin and those guys.
Oh, yeah.
You can't ask for much better. So many champions have came out of that gym. There's so much knowledge and experience in that gym. You're in a good spot right there. Best of wishes to the beekeeping and the family and everything you're doing. Do you have any sponsors or anybody you want to give a little shout out to?
Yes, actually, Rev Gear has been my sponsor here for almost a year now, and they've given me so much gear and just awesome stuff. I really appreciate them. Seth Daniels is the one who set me up with them. It was through Fight to Win. I got sponsored with them, but Rev Gear is such a great company, such a great sponsor, really high quality stuff. Definitely check them out.
Rev Gear, they got all kinds of good stuff. Don't they get geese and rash guards and all that stuff, right?
Yes. My favorite's their giant backpack they sent me. I haul all my stuff around and I use that backpack every day.
Nice.
There's nothing better than a good backpack, especially when you got MMA gear to carry around.
Yes.
Right. Archie, what do you think, my brother?
No, I think this was great. Joy, it's amazing to have learned a little bit more about you and know that, you're still dedicated, you're still training. And, the important part is you're mixing up everything, the jiu-jitsu, the MMA, and your ground game's there, your striking's getting better. We're just excited to have you joined us. And, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Plus, hey, man, you know what? Like to family and friends and people I know and just people out there when women in MMA it's probably something a lot of people didn't see years back, you know what I mean, happening. But there are a lot of women involved in MMA and jiu-jitsu tournaments, like maybe way more in jiu-jitsu competition and grappling competition. There's a lot of women out there too that they're looking for something right now, man. They might be a little depressed or a little anxiety built up. They don't have the right exercise program. Hey, just for the women that are out there that'll hear this podcast, and there's a lot of younger women that are listening to this and older too. What could jiu-jitsu and just jiu-jitsu training do for someone's lifestyle?
Oh my goodness. Well, to be honest with you, my favorite thing that I've found through martial arts is just the connections with other people, all the friendships you establish. You won't ever make any tighter friends than your training partners. It's such a social thing. It's so fun. You walk in the gym, you know everybody. Not only are you getting an awesome workout and learning some very real life self-defense skills, but you're having a great time while you do it. And nothing's better for a woman to learn than jiu-jitsu, a woman who's looking to really actually be able to defend yourself in a meaningful way in a real life situation. Jiu-jitsu is what you need to know.
Yep.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu is definitely I think is got to be one of the best women's not just self-defense for any person, man or woman, but definitely for women, just the positions of rape attacks and things like that happen. In reality, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has to be one of the best. Well, Joy, this has been awesome. Once again, it's been a real joy having you on the show. And man, we'll talk to you again. We'll get you back on the show again soon. Like I said, I hope everything goes great with the beekeeping and the breeding. And to everybody out there that's in Joy's world, if you guys can like and share this video, Joy, if you can pass this video when we're done, pass it on to your other social media sites for us if you can, sis.
For sure.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks,
Hey,
Joy.
thank you.
And we'll go ahead and shut down now. But again, amazing having you here, Tom. Thanks a bunch, Joy. We're gonna have you back, and you're now part of the MMA Fight Pass crew. Thank you so much here for the HAMMERFIST podcast.
Hopefully, next time we see you, it'll be a person-to-person interview.
That's right.
Yeah. Be great. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Take care, Joy.
You and
Bye-bye.
your family have a great time.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
All right. Good stuff, man. Awesome chick right there. Hey, she's got when she fights, what I love, you know what? As jiu-jitsu evolves, dude, like we always talk about how jiu-jitsu evolves, but in MMA, when it comes to a real fight in jiu-jitsu, it comes down to, man, a lot of times passing the guard, if there is a guard to pass, getting a legit side control, getting knee on belly, getting the full mount, punching the person in the face. Either they give up an arm or they turn to their belly and you take their back, right?
Yep, that's it, Tom. Yeah, no, for sure.
Basic jiu-jitsu, that works. If it doesn't matter if you're a white belt or black belt or whatever, in a real fight, you're not doing you're not looking for fancy stuff. You're looking to overcome the person, whoever it is, the attacker or the opponent or whatever it is, if it's in the cage. But yeah, watching Joy fight, that's what she does. She gets in there, gets to the clinch, achieves the takedown, gets to a legit side control, gets that knee on belly, goes to the mount, and boom. Exactly. And she doesn't submit her. She has TKO wins because the ref will stop in. You know what I mean? The ref will step in and stop it because of the punches to the face. If not, if it was on the street, that situation would lead to the person going to their belly and Joy choking them.
Yeah. Hey, Tom. Right? We got Karina on here, Tom, but we're gonna check off. We're gonna get off the broadcast and restart it so we can give Karina, her own show. Okay, guys. All right. Well, it's still gonna go live. Hey, Karina, we're gonna disconnect and reconnect, Karina. Okay, give me 1 minute.
Okay.